Hello, this is Caran again, and I have another video for you today. Today I will be doing a review of the Caran Luminance Colored Pencils. So I'm super excited. This is going to be an updated review of the Caran Luminance Colored Pencils. I did do a review earlier on, but I wanted to do an updated review because I got a larger set, and I'm also, I've done more brands since I did the original, and I just thought it would be fun. So I'm going to do a review of the Caran Luminance Colored Pencils, and then at the very end of the review, I'm going to do like a quick mini review of the Crayola Twistables Colored Pencils. This is more about the twisting mechanism and how these work, since a friend of mine asked me to review these, so I want to do a quick review at the end of this review for the Crayola Twistables, just because it would be fun. Anyway, so these are the Caran Luminance Colored Pencils, and they come in a number of sets. In the US, they are available in a set of 20 and a set of 76, as well as a set of 80 in a wood box case, which is really, it looks like a really nice wood case. So these are the Caran Luminance Colored Pencils. These are definitely artist grade colored pencils. Let me show you first the set of 20, which was the set that I originally got, and you're probably wondering why I have a set of 20 and a set of 40. I got the set of 20 some years ago for Christmas. I want to say it was Christmas 2015, that I got the set of 20. These are not the colors in the set of 20s. These are extras that I purchased. So this is just, these were from the set of 20, and then these are open stock right here, are just extra colors of open stock that I got. But I want to show you the packaging for the set of 20. So anyway, I got this for Christmas 2015, I believe. Not exactly sure. So I wanted to get some additional colors and some extras to try to round out the collection. But I realized that getting 20 open stock was actually more than just getting a set of 40 with the colors from the 20 open stock. So I ended up going and just getting a set of 20 open stock, which was really annoying. And I, whatever, it is what it is. But when I got my set of 20, they were $75. And then they dropped down a lot, and then they went back up a little bit. So they dropped down to 50 for the set of 20. I think I may have even seen it for 44 at one point. And then they went back up to what they are now, which is the set of 20 is $55. The set of 40 was $100 when I got mine a few weeks ago, and it's gone back up to $119.08 on Amazon. And the set of 76 is currently for $211. So these are definitely higher end pencils. These are artist grade pencils. One of the things that really sets these apart is the light fastness. The light fast rating for all these pencils is really high. So they use a professional light fast rating, which helps the pencils last longer if you have them on display. These are really mainly for professional artists who display their work, and who want to have something that will last for a while. However, I like these for the colors. They do have slightly different colors that are in some of the other lines. They have a lot more natural tones and a lot more skin tones. Or at least a lot more of the European skin tones. I did have a little bit of a problem with the darker skin tone, but I think that was just my inexperience with these pencils. There is a little bit of a learning curve with these. Let me tell you a little bit more about them. These are wax based. They are, as I said, extremely light fast. They are really opaque, and I want to show you how opaque they are, because I think their opaqueness is actually one of the really nice selling points. And I want you to just look at that G and see how that G is almost gone. It was supposed to be, I originally did like a wrong letter, and there's a little bit of a letter under there, but you can see how the light blue has gone over the same thing over here with the orange. These are some really wonderfully opaque colors, especially on the lighter end. The white is amazing. So that's one thing about these colored pencils. Another thing about them is that they are extremely high quality. The casings are so amazing, and we're going to do some sharpening later because I want to show you just how amazing these casings are. Let's see, they only come, as I said, in 76 colors, which is really unusual. That's quite a lot less than some brands. 40, and they all come in a cardboard paper box, unless you get the wood case. So there's no metal tin in these. And I don't necessarily mind that. I'm actually more annoyed by the separation of the fact that it's only 20 in each set. So I have to keep, doing that. 40 would have been kind of rough, but still, it was kind of frustrating the way that it's set up a little bit. So there's that. And I'm also more frustrated the fact that the bottom tin there's not, like, the bottom is made out from the box itself and it doesn't really come out, and that's a little bit frustrating for me. But these are really well padded, so each pencil is individually padded. I know some people took them out and put them in a container, but I did want to show you the back a little bit. You can see that the back is a foam in the back, and you saw how I kind of turned it over and it didn't fall. They are in here quite snug, but you still don't want to, like, turn them upside down or anything. I just did it to show you the back of this set and to show you all the padding that is included in this box. Even the top of the box has padding. So this is a very nice high quality box. I know some people do complain and would prefer a metal tin, but I definitely would prefer a high quality cardboard box like this over a low quality tin like the one that came in the Derwent set, which was shameful. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's see what else we have here. Set of 74. These work really well with the polychromos. So I know some artists like Lacquerie Fine Art and a few other artists use them together. I haven't done so just because, I don't know, I don't use these as much as I use my polychromos. I use my polychromos a lot more, and I'll talk to you about that towards the end. These are quite expensive, and I talked about the price earlier on, but they're not necessarily the ideal choice for everybody due to the high price. So especially the other thing is that part of the reason why the price is so high is the light fast rating, but also the pigment loads per pencils. And I'm going to swatch out some of these. I'm not going to swatch out all of them, again, because of the price, and I don't want to waste any pencils swatching out all of them. So I will probably just pick some and swatch out just, a handful of them for you. So there's that. And they are moderately soft. The other thing that I felt with these pencils, more so than with pretty much any other brand of pencil that I have, is part of the price is the fact that it has a really high pigment load, and they want to use as little, wax binder, and so on as possible. I don't know if I mentioned, but these are wax based. And that, there's some people say they have a little bit of oil based on them, but for the most part, I believe that these are mostly wax based. And anyway, so some colors, such as the Chisel Earth, definitely feel different than other colors. And I also sharpen these less because they are so pricey, but these definitely feel a little bit different than some of the other colors. This has a little bit of scratchy feel to it. In this color, so that's something to keep in mind, is that some of the darker colors especially will feel a little bit different because these have less binder to pigment than some other brands that you might be used to. So that's something to keep in mind, especially if you're using this for crafting or dark coloring. This is definitely not required set, but if you like the colors and you're in a market for, this is how you live your life, and this is what you want to spend on a set of colored pencils, you definitely will not be disappointed. Let me show you one of the pieces that I've made with these. This was so much fun, and this was so much easier than some of the other brands that I have reviewed. One of the things that made this so super easy and super fun to do, and also really quick, was I don't know if you can see this bottom layer here, but putting in the water was the easiest I've ever had, just because it takes so many layers. And I know that there's an issue, some people, particularly with wax bloom. I have never experienced that with these pencils. And I don't necessarily feel that this should be a risk with these, because there's a lot of layers, but it can still take a lot more layers. But I wanted to show you that I colored everything in the same as if I would, like if she wasn't in the water, and then I did the water over it. And it was super easy to do, and it totally took all these extra layers of just putting the water over it, just as if somebody was underwater. And it was really nice and a really sort of organic way to get the correct tints across you know, across the entire spectrum of, you know, the skin tones and everything, and to just get it to be just right. And it was super easy to not have to do too much fighting with it, and to just, you know, being able to lay down the color and not being afraid of it doing additional pigments or whatever. So the fact that there's only 76 colors is not a big deal, because you can see here, some areas here have just so many layers, and you can see where I've gone over it, especially here with the otter. You know, I pretty much did the otter as if there was no water, and then I went over it, you know, like kind of, you know, trying to mimic real life, and it was just super easy to do. It was a lot of fun. I did have a little bit of a problem because she has a little bit of darker skin tone, just finding the right mix for me. And I think that's more an issue of experience with these, because like I said, I'm more used to the polychromos. So this is, I don't think that this is an issue of, because the colors are there for me to be able to mix the darker skin tones that I want. It was just figuring out the right order, because the colors will feel differently across different layers. It was, you know, figuring out which ones to put at the bottom, which ones to put on top, and it was just, it would take a little bit more experimenting than I was necessarily doing. And I don't have as much practice with these pencils just because of the price, and you know, that's something to keep in mind as well. But I do want to show you this because it just looks so it was just so wonderful and so much fun to do across the whole, just across the entire page. Getting the shading, I don't know if you can see the shading, and the layering was so just like so much fun and so relatively easy to do. I haven't fixed it yet. I haven't laid down a fixative, and it totally can take a few more layers, which I was really impressed. You know, sometimes people say if it's wax base, it's not going to take that many layers, but this totally is taking, you know, as many layers as I throw at it. So it's just been really, really fun to work with these. But I just had to, like, as I was working with them, I had to like not think about the cost of sharpening them and just do it. So that's something to keep in mind. And before we do the color swatching and me showing you the comparison, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the price of these. As I said, this set was $100 when I bought this. That's one thing for you to keep in mind as you're selecting which pencils to buy. People never want to talk about price, but price matters. So for example, with my polychromos, which was $100 for a set of 60 and $200. I think at the time I got him when I sold my set of 60 and I got the set of 120. I feel totally comfortable sharpening them and using them and not having to worry about it. With these, it was definitely like in the back of my mind, and it was hard for me to really relax as much as I wanted to. And that's something for you to keep in mind as you get your pencils. And as you select what you want to get, because, you know, it's not necessarily so much whether or not you can afford it per se, but whether or not you'll feel comfortable actually using them, because these things are meant to be used. So if you get these for crafting, for professional art, for, you know, for whatever it is that you want to do with these, because there's really limitless, these are really opaque. And, you know, when I did the original review, I had done it in non-white paper, and these really are, they just shine so much in non-white paper. It's not necessarily for you just to get pencils that you can afford, but to get pencils that you feel comfortable using. So, you know, don't spend $100 on a set of polychromos if you're not going to feel comfortable using them and sharpening them. The same with these, you know, like I don't necessarily recommend these if you're not going to feel comfortable using them and sharpening them and just really just letting them be used, because that's what they're supposed to be. So that's something to, you know, to keep in mind. Now, I got my set because I wanted to do an updated review and I wanted to get another set, and, you know, I love you guys and it is what it is. So, you know, so I just got to get used to them, you know, and I don't want to get too much trapped in the sense of like the only thing I know how to use is the polychromos. So that's the other reason why I wanted to get these, because I needed to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, and try different colors and that sort of thing. So I'm, you know, I was totally okay with doing what I had to do, but that's something for you to keep in mind. So I don't want people to feel like they have to buy these pencils, because I don't think that anybody needs these for adult coloring. If you want to, and you have the means and you want to do it, do it. You'll only live once. You know what I'm saying? Just like enjoy yourself, have fun, but make sure if you get them, don't just have them sitting up in your shelf. Make sure you get them and you use them. So that's my sort of public service announcement. I wanted to do a little bit of swatching, and then, but I wanted to talk to you about the book, which is not something that I usually spend all that much time talking about. But in this case, I kind of felt like I had to because the book is just so terrible. But you can see what it looks like. So this is what the set of 20 that I have, the set of 40, set of 72, and then this is the set of 80, which has the 76, the same, I said 72 earlier, the same 76 colors, plus some duplicates and the two blender pencils and graphite pencils or something like that. So that's the colors that are in these sets. And they have some examples of some of the art that people have done with these pencils. So these are definitely artist pencils, but because I probably to save money, the materials have really only written, you know, it's only a short paragraph and these pictures in the front, and then the rest is just translations in different languages. Whereas you compare that to the little booklet that the Polychromos came with, they got history of the company, they got various pictures, they got some coloring ideas. Oh my God, I want this so bad. I don't need it, but I want it so bad because look at it. It's okay. Anyway, some more information on different types of layering, different things you can do, some information about how the color pencils are, you know, are made. The light colors are more transparent with the Polychromos, and they talk about that here. So this has a little bit, they show you what they look like on different colored papers, which I'm surprised this catalog didn't do. But I mean, it's not really like a full catalog, as well as the thing that I find really lacking here is that this gives you a list of all the colors as well as mini color swatches. And I found this to be extremely, extremely useful when I did not have all the colors before I sold my set of 60 and got a set of 120. So that's something to keep in mind with these, is that there isn't a full list of all the colors, which, like I said, it's not a big deal, but it was a little frustrating. All right, so we've been talking for a while. Let's get to the swatching portion. Like I said, I'm not going to do all the colors, but I'm just going to grab some. I'm going to grab some of these light colors because I really want to show you the light colors. Let's see. And then I'm just going to do these colors and then a couple of dark colors just to show you how they go, because I really think it's interesting and it's important to see when you're watching a review, to see what the colors, how the colors actually lay down. So I have this like this. All right, so now we got all the colors that we're going to do, so it's not going to be a lot of colors. Let me see. There you go. That should be a little bit easier. So we're going to go from lightest to darkest. All right, so this is a lemon yellow. So you can see how vibrant and crisp that yellow is. I love seeing the light colors on these because to me, sorry, cat hair. I love seeing the light colors on these because to me that's one of the most important things, is to make sure that your light colors are super vibrant. You don't want to be caught out there without having vibrant light colors. So this color, and I was really amused by this color because I think it's called literally just orange. See, it's called just orange. By the way, that was the other thing that I didn't talk about earlier. The writing on these pencils, they have the name here, and it's really small and really hard for me to read. So for a lot of the colors, and I will eventually do it for all of them, I just wrote it bigger on the side. They could have done it too, instead of putting, you know, Swiss made by Caran. And that this is light fast rating, which I think is in all the colors. So that's helpful, but instead of putting in the Swiss by Caran, they could have put the color name here. And to me, that would have been extremely useful. Anyway, that's just my opinion, that it would have been extremely useful. But I just want to show you just how vibrant that color is, if you guys can see just how, like that's one thing, you know, immediately you just get such a color lay down, and you don't have to press super hard either. So if you have hand problems and you're thinking about getting these, they're not the softest pencils. Definitely the Prismacolors and the Lyra Polycolor, which are oil-based, the Lyra Polycolors are considerably softer, but these are still really nice pencils. Really soft. These are definitely softer than the Polychromos, which are still not hard pencils, but these are definitely softer than the Polychromos. And you can see that it's a difference, even though these two are both sort of medium yellows. You can see that they have definitely different tints, and this is more of an earth tone right here, and this is a yellow ochre. So I'm glad that I went through and I wrote my name I wrote, not my name, I wrote the name of the color on the pencil. This is a Payne's Gray, because I think that it will help me. This is the Chasmal Earth, which is, you feel it instantly that this is one of the scratchiest colors across any line. I mean, it's just like, it has a heavy pigment load and it's a dark color, but damn, it's a really scratchy color. And it's not necessarily the case with some of the other ones. That's the most scratchy colors. There's a few other colors that feel a little funny, but that's by far the scratchiest color. So there's that. So that is the swatching portion. I'm going to take a break, come back, and then we're going to do the color comparison with the final notes about these pencils. All right, so I am back. I now have the chart for the comparisons. So let's get started. So these are the Caran Luminance, and because they don't come in a set of 12, I just picked 12 colors, and I think all of these are from the set of 20. So I'm pretty sure, but I might be wrong by one or two colors, but all of these colors are definitely in the set of 40. So there is that. So you can see how vibrant that yellow is that we've talked about earlier, how well they blend and layer. I think out of all these colors, probably the only one that's really burnished and that's really probably going to have a hard time taking more layers is this one. These two, I could probably still add layers if I wanted to, but this one definitely looks burnished. So there's that. So you can see that it's a night and day with the Crayolas. I mean, it's just the vibrancy is very different. But let me show you too the older Crayola that I did. This is the Crayola that I did when I did my original Crayola review a few months back. And this is one that I did just a few days ago to do the Crayola Twistables review. And you can see how hard these Crayolas fade and how much they fade. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's part of the reason for the cost of the Caran Luminance is the fact that they really just don't fade as easily, and you can already see the Ergosoft, which I wasn't really that big of a fan of, but these are the Ergosoft colored pencils compared to the Luminance. The Tombow Erogatin, even the Tombow Erogatins are already starting to show some fading. Right here you can see some of the fading from the Tombow Erogatin review I did just a few months back. We have here the Blackwing colors. So this is Blackwing colors. Once again, you can see the difference in the vibrancy with the Luminance. Just the Luminance just really shines here. The Lyra Polycolor, which is actually fading a fair bit. But you can still see how much more vibrant the Caran Luminance are. And it just really stands out. The Dick Blick Artists, which are recent review that I did, and those were that was a lot of fun to do. But once again, you see just how much that Luminance just really shines. The Lyra, the Kohinoor Polycolor. Once again, you see the Luminance compared to the Luminance up top compared to the Lyra at the bottom. It really shows. You start to see a little bit more parity with the Prismacolor Premier, but these also are starting to show a little bit of fading as well. You can see some fading on this end where it was not, where I didn't apply the colored pencil, the blender pencil on top. There's some of that fading has already started to occur here, but still they're doing a good showing. The as far as I understand it, the Prismacolor are not the most light fast. The Caran Pablo, and one of the differences between, somebody asked me in a previous video the differences between the Caran Pablo and the Caran Luminance. The Pablos are harder. They're also not as light fast. And so there's that, and there are hexagonal in shape. But for me personally, I do like the Luminance better. Overall, I think that they are, I just like them better as the colors and just the setup. But, you know, it's hard to argue with the price difference of the Pablos, and I think that they're both good. It's really ultimately up to you, and which barrel shape you like better, I think is going to make a big difference. If you're just using these for adult coloring books, then I think, you know, the barrel shape and whether or not you mind a pencil that's a little bit on the harder side versus a pencil that's a little bit on the softer side. And that's really going to be your two big differences between the two, and whether or not you want 120 colors versus 76 colors. So there's that with the Pablos. And the last one is the Faber Castell Polychromos. And you can see that's probably the closest match is the Faber Castell Polychromos, which are oil based, and people do use them interchangeably all the time. Like I said, I haven't, just because I rarely step out of my zone with the Polychromos, and when I do my own coloring for myself and not for a review, I'm almost always using the Polychromos. So there's that, but you can see that they do really well. You know that the colors do tend to be a little bit different. You can see that these have a little bit this brown violet, and they just tend to have a little bit more earthy tones. Let me show you. So there is that to keep in mind. Overall, I am extremely happy with the Luminance. They are really nice pencils, but once again, it's the issue of the price. There's really nothing bad to say about these pencils. These are just amazing pencils all around. Let me show you one thing I did want to show you. Sorry, I don't like these little boxes. I wish it was a little bit easier to. Oh, here it is. Here it is. The colors. You can see that they do tend to go a little bit more earth. I used the word earthy before, but I'm not sure if earthy is the right word. More of a muted, natural tones. You see these, which a lot of people use for portraiture, and I can totally see how these would be great for a portraiture, for your highlights. Even if you're doing darker skin, you can totally get the colors in there, but it may take a little bit of practice. So there is that with this. But I did want to show you before we leave, I want to show you how well they sharpen, because these are really easy to sharpen. With any decent sharpener, you should be able to get great results here. Let's see. I'm going to pause and find my sharpener. So I'm back. I finally located my sharpener. Let me see. This is my problem. Is I check it first and see how much it needs sharpening before I actually do it. So you can see that they sharpen really well, and look at how neat that shaving comes out. Probably still stand to do a little bit more, but I'm not gonna. And it also doesn't seem to take as many turns as with some of the other brands to get this sharpened and to get it nice and sharp. Do this. It's going to be time to change this blade again. I swear I go through these blades so fast because I do so much sharpening since I use my pencils so much. But you could probably get it a little sharper than that. I just have been, it's more about me, like as I sharpen it, I feel like, you know, that's money, and that's kind of something that I shouldn't think about, but I do with these. So you can see that it gives you a nice sharp point. So even though they are, you know, relatively soft, it's still, you know, very nice and easy to get a sharp point that is still usable. You can still use that sharp point if that's what you want to do. So these are some. See that? And you can, and this won't break. Like, even though it's a very, very sharp point, it's not going to break on you. And you'll be able to completely use this down to the core. Every single pencil of these that I got of the Luminance was absolutely perfect. There were absolutely no, no cracked barrels or anything like that. These pencils really do use some really truly exceptional wood, other than the fact that I personally had problem reading this shiny foil and I had to write the color on there. You may not want to do that because, you might feel like you're gonna, that it's gonna be, damaging the perfection of the pencil or whatever. But I decided that it was more important for me to be able to make these pencils something that I would use regularly, and more regularly than I have done in the past, than it was to preserve the look, if that makes any sense, of the natural pencils. I'm sure if you have any problems, you can contact the company and they will totally be willing to be able to help you with any problems you might have, should you have problems with these pencils. But overall, like I said before, I have been extremely happy with these pencils all around. They were definitely a very good investment. And I will definitely do my best to use them as much as possible. But I will probably, even though I'm saying that I want to use them as much as possible, I will honestly probably try to use them only if I'm making something that I know that I want to frame. And I've made a few pieces that I have framed. So if I'm definitely making something that I absolutely want to frame, then I'll probably use these as a top layer over some polychromos. This is probably what I will do with these. But overall, I really like these pencils. These are really very much amazing pencils. Definitely, if money is no object, whether you are a professional artist and you want something that is light fast, or you are a colorist and you just want something that is going to be easy to use, problem free, and you like the color selection of these pencils, you absolutely positively will not be disappointed. These are amazing pencils, totally worth every penny. And I think that that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys wanted to stay for the Crayola Twistables review, it'll be super short. But if you guys want to get these pencils, it would be really awesome if you could use the referral link below, because I do get a portion of that, and that really helps a lot. So that's that. So for you guys who want to stay for the Crayola review, I will be back in a second. So welcome to a quick little mini review of the Crayola Twistables. So these are the Crayola Twistables. They come in this wood box, and they are the same pencil as you get in the Crayola wood centered colored pencil. And these are really interesting because they don't need to be sharpened. You just twist out. I hope you can see. You just twist it out and the core comes out. So there is that. And as far as I know, this is the largest set that you can get in these. So you never have to sharpen these if you don't want to. You never have to sharpen these. So these are great if you want to travel and you want to be out there traveling with these. There is an issue, and that's, something to do with just the nature of quality control at this inexpensive level, is that some of these you have to twist a little bit harder, and some of these you don't, they just glide all out. So there's that, but I did want to show you that. So there's these, and they are basically the same high quality colored pencils as the Crayola wood colored pencils. So you can see this was done with these a few days ago, but let me do these are also more comfortable to hold than the regular Crayola colored pencils, because it is it is a slightly larger barrel than in the wood pencils, so these are a little bit easier to hold in that sense. But between these and the Crayola, unlike the Crayola regular pencils, these don't have the names printed on there. So there's that, and you can see how the mechanism works. Hold on, let me see if I can see. You can see how the mechanism works, and you can see how it just slides that down there and it just twists down. So there's that, and there is a variety of light, medium, and dark skin tones, which I was surprised by, even though it's only a few colors. For some colors, I find myself, and I think it has to do with the barrel, I find myself having to twist it more as I'm working with it, and other colors I don't feel like I have to do that at all. So that's something to keep in mind. Some colors do seem to go back in the barrel on their own, but overall, if you like the regular Crayola pencils and you want something that's easier to hold, or you want something that travels well, these are a really good a really good addition to the regular Crayola colored pencils. And if you're thinking about getting these for traveling, like my friend Amy, definitely don't be afraid to do so. Or if you want something from Crayola with a slightly larger barrel, or you just want something a little bit interesting, definitely these are an option. I still prefer the wood, only because I'm like, I'm wondering if these are recyclable, and I don't know, my inner You know, like I grew up with Captain Planet, so my inner, my inner Captain Planet is like, I'd rather have the wood ones. But that's that's just me. So anyway, these are really fun pencils, and there'll be a link to purchase those down in the bottom. Thank you guys so much for watching and staying for not one but two reviews. You guys are troopers, and since you guys are troopers and you stayed for not one but two reviews, you'll get not one but two cat videos at the end. So thank you so much for staying, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Stewie.